Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Raquah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, and salutations to the Yakim that's spreading this truth throughout the four corners of the globe in truthfulness and in sincerity. And today, in this vid, I'm going to talk about Bill Cosby. Now, with Bill Cosby, they're bringing up the charges on him. They're putting charges on him for those, for those women that he was messing with a while back, like many years ago, actually. But they're now, it's him dealing with those women. That's been an issue for a while now. As far as men bringing it up, these devil women bringing it up, but they're actually going forward and trying to actually penalize him, or put him in prison or something. Okay, so I got a video. All right, we're gonna play it. I'm going to play it, Salakia, and then I'm gonna get some scriptures out. Okay.
He was
Come on, man.
Bill Cosby was sentenced Tuesday to 3 to 10 years in state prison for sexually assaulting a woman more than a decade ago. The 81-year-old was seen being walked down a courthouse hallway in handcuffs. He was denied bail. The judge says Cosby remains a potential danger to society. He must serve 3 years in prison before becoming eligible for parole.
And we are now joined by the woman who helped put Bill Cosby behind bars, Prosecutor Kristen Gibbons-Fedden. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
What an image it was to see Bill Cosby in handcuffs walking out of that courtroom, going to prison, the sentence 3 to 10 years. Do you think justice was served yesterday?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Andrea Constand and her family got to be heard. Many women got to be heard. Many women got to give their victim impact statements in a different forum. Justice was definitely served.
Bill Cosby yesterday, he didn't make a statement. There seemed to be very little remorse, very little reaction. Had he demonstrated any remorse throughout the course of the trial, even the sentencing phase, do you think that perhaps the outcome would have been different for him?
Certainly that would have been a factor, a mitigating factor that the judge could have considered when sentencing an individual. I understand that he invoked his right to remain silent, which is his constitutional right. And that's why his counsel at least argued that there was a lack of showing of remorse. But certainly that could have come into play and could have been a mitigating factor.
Let me ask you about some remarks that his publicist, a man by the name of Andrew Wyatt, said on the courthouse step. He said this was a racist and sexist trial. He went on to say they persecuted Jesus and look what happened. Not saying Mr. Cosby is Jesus, but we know what this country has done to black men for centuries. You were the prosecutor, not the persecutor, the prosecutor. How do those remarks sit with you?
You know, it saddens me to hear that someone would label the justice system in that manner and to equivocate a man who sexually assaulted and intoxicated women, a man who admitted to administering medication to a woman without identifying what it was and then engaging in sexual contact with him, a man who admitted to giving quaaludes to women for the sole purpose of having sex. To equivocate that man to Jesus is just offensive.
Kristen, you're not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but you have worked in sex crimes for a long time. You watched Bill Cosby in that court. You heard 2 trials. What do you think was going on in his head during all of this, all those crimes he allegedly committed?
I can only imagine what was going through his head. Just from watching him and looking at his body language, I don't even know that it was clear to him that this was Judgment Day. Judgment Day would soon arise. It didn't appear to me that he thought this day would ever come, and you know what? It came.
Most of us, we knew Bill Cosby as America's dad. You really dug into this case. You had to paint a picture of him for the jury and then the opening and the closing. Who is Bill Cosby? How do you think that we should remember Bill Cosby?
the person that I studied in terms of Bill Cosby in order to look at whether or not we should charge this case. And then obviously, once we charged the case and I had to convey a picture to the jury of who that Bill Cosby was, I don't know who he was in terms of how we should remember him. But certainly I can tell you that the individual who sexually assaulted Andrea Constand was nothing more than a con artist, a man who was two different individuals, a man who we saw on TV, and he utilized that as a cloak so that he could lure women, groom them, and gain their trust so that he could then administer an intoxicant and sexually assault them.
Kristen, this was a long road and not an easy case. I don't have to tell you. The first trial ended in a mistrial, a hung jury. You tried it again. Was there ever a time in this whole period where you thought, maybe we'll just give up? Did you ever feel discouraged and think, I tried, but we're not going to get the conviction we want?
You know, that's an interesting question. I always look for my strength in the victims, and Andrea Constand, she just was amazing. She remained like so courageous and so brave throughout the entire process. Did I ever consider whether I wanted to give up? I don't think so, because her courage and her strength was enough for me to say, you know what, let's keep going. Because it wasn't, I just got to ask questions and deliver a closing and opening remarks, which I did so many times before. It was her who had to withstand public scrutiny and cross-examination. So if she couldn't, if she was able to remain steadfast and keep going, I had to.
What did she say to you yesterday, Andrea Constand?
Many things, but I think the most important one was, I asked her, is she happy with the sentence? And she said yes.
Kristen Gibbons-Fadden, thank you so much for being with us this
Thank you
morning.
so much
We really
for having
appreciate
me.
it.
Thank you.
And that's pretty much it with that. You know, they got him. They're gonna get him. You know, since they already done used him up for whatever they used him. You know, to make money off of him, and now they're gonna make sure he pays. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they do to Jake. You know, you get up in that industry, you sell out, and you see where he's at now. He's already up in age. I think he's in his 80s or something. You know, he got one foot in the grave, man. You know, I remember, you know, when I was a lot younger, I used to watch Little Bill on TV. That was one of my favorite shows at the time. But yeah, you know, that's what happens. You know, and then way back in his, you know, career and everything, he would get on Jake about, you know, stepping it up, actually being something in this society. You know, like actually trying to be a part of this society when this society is not made for us. You know, you have to work, do things of that nature. But as far as trying to join and be a part of this man's system while you're here, that's not nothing to be doing. You know, you're supposed to be following with these scripts. So, but yeah, that's judgment. You know, that woman, you know, that Jake woman, she was like, oh, well, it's judgment day. It's judgment day. Well, what's happening to him is judgment, all right? So let's get the scriptures. I mean, he is finished. Mark chapter 8, verse 36. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Verse 37. Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? You know, what's gonna profit? What's gonna profit you gaining the world, the acceptance of this world? Okay. At the end, this world is going to destroy you, man. You think it's a blessing to be highly favored in this society? This society is wicked, man. You know, hey, that's what happens. Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as thou hast wiped the looking glass, and thou shalt know that his wrath has not been altogether wiped away. Set him not by thee, lest he have overthrown thee. Wait, you know what? Salah. I'm gonna stop right there. You know, his rust hasn't been altogether wiped away. That's right. And you see how up in age he is. They sound like they want to give him like a really hardcore, prison sentence and everything. But that just goes to show you that Esau, when it comes to him and his system that he has set up, he has no remorse for you, Jakes. All right. So you're not supposed to trust in this devil and his society. All right. One more scripture, Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 15. Because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell we are at agreement. And when the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us, for we have made lies our refuge, under falsehood have we hid ourselves. That's right. Covering yourself in deceit, covering yourself in the ways of America is going to get you destroyed, like I've been saying. Like the Akim of Great Millstone have been saying. You know what I'm saying? So that's it on the Bill Cosby thing. It's just that all those years that had went by, now, really this has been going on for a while, but they're actually moving forward with putting him in prison or whatever, so to speak, actually giving him a sentence. So but yeah, those women, they waited all that time, and ultimately, well, I don't know if he did it or not, but the point is, those women, those devil women, they waited so long, and they waited so long, to, it seems, till it's like, it seems as though, well, they're just trying to get money out of him, you know what I'm saying? But once again, I don't know if he did it or not, but either way, it was judgment from how about Shem Hawashai. And do I feel sorry for him? As far as seeing one of your own get locked up, I feel some type of way about that. But then again, he deserves it, all right? Because he sold out. Until next time, Shalom.